Okay. I like it because I feel like it's the theme of so much that I've been feeling myself over this past year and going into the future is, we have to grow. And sometimes you are not achieving the things that you want to because you're not the person that is ready to do that yet. You haven't done the personal growth yet. You haven't done the hard things. Like you haven't, it's so overused that people say level up. You haven't done that yet. And John Maxwell calls it the law of the lid in the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. It's the first law, the law of the lid. And it's just something that has just smacked me over and over and over and over these past months, that you're only going to grow to where you are. You're only going to be able to lead people to where you are. Now, does that mean that nobody's going to join you ever because you didn't grow any? No. I mean, somebody might join you. I have no idea. But the point is still that when you are ready to do something, then when you are really ready, then you are going to do whatever it takes, whatever skill, whatever mindset change, whatever it takes to do it. And I feel like this is really powerful with team building and recruiting, because a lot of the times whenever I get on a personal coaching call with someone who's not built a team yet or has, maybe recruited a handful of people, but just really not seeing any growth, it's often because often because self-admitting, they will say they're not doing any of the things that they need to do. They don't really want it yet. They're not really ready to get out of their own way and do the things that it takes to build a team and duplicate and all of those things. And I'm curious, to ask you guys for your personal feedback, if that's something that you have felt in your Rodan and Field specific journey so far, at any point in time, either right now or any point in time, because I would probably say that 100% of us really do, that resonates with us, if not right now, then somewhere on our journey. Yeah, no. Well, can you guys hear me? Can everybody hear me? Good? Okay, good.
No.
Deb,
No.
So
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I can kind of hear you, Sarah. I'm going to jump off and jump back in. Sometimes that works for my laptop.
Okay. I can also not use headphones. And
I think that's part of it, actually.
That's probably what it is.
Because I noticed when you adjust them, it changes a little.
Okay, let me make that adjustment then, because I don't want you guys to only be able to have.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Much better. Much better.
Correct. Okay, good. Okay. So anyway, I saw that earlier and it just really, really spoke to me, really hit me. I'm going to be continuing to remind myself of those words. So talking about team building, how many of you can honestly say that you have worked really hard? You are really trying to team build. You're just giving it all you have, and maybe it's working for you, and maybe you're frustrated. Or how many maybe had said that I'm so scared of it that I haven't even tried yet? Where do you guys sit?
Scared.
Huh?
Scared.
Scared?
Yeah.
I think I was initially, but I think I've really tried. I haven't been successful in adding people who want to work. And I can't really tell you why.
Okay.
I feel like I'm doing everything that I'm reading that I should do, but I don't know, obviously I'm not doing something right. So, yeah, I don't know.
Okay. When you start to explore the whys and the everything, do you have anything that comes to mind of, I see this in because the comparison game is not good, but it's often good to look around and say, like I tell my kids, like, look around, what's everybody else doing? Or like, are you doing any of that? You know?
I think it could just be, I'm just not talking to enough people. I think though that the people that I am finding that want to join don't want to sell.
Okay.
And
We're going to talk about that too.
What to do about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it is very frustrating.
Yeah.
Because I know I can't grow anymore. There's only so much I can do.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's pretty frustrating.
I can say for me, I feel like it comes in waves. Like when I'm actively like doing massive action, because I'm like, I want to build my team. Like I get between 2 and 4 people to join me at one time, every time. And then it's like I'm launching and I'm doing all the things and getting them started, and I stop because I'm like, I'm so focused on other things. And then it's like, oh, I need to be team building. And then it's like another section of massive action. And then I get consultants, but it's always because, I'm talking to a lot of people, and then all of a sudden it kind of comes to fruition. So it's definitely the numbers and not just by happenstance that people say, hi, excuse me, I would like to join your business, please.
Natasha, I'm kind of the same way. I definitely have an ebb and flow. And there's a couple of different things we're going to talk about tonight that I can directly correlate to it. Anybody else want to share?
With my,
Yes.
oh, sorry.
No,
With
go ahead,
my-
Deb. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. With my fear, I know where it stems from. It's a fear of rejection.
Mhm.
And as I've been working this year on my mindset and digging deep into my deep childhood issues and things like that, I'm finding that there's a lot of root there. So I'm having to like work on releasing that.
Mhm.
But where do I go from that point? It's like, okay, it's all done. Now what?
We will talk about that.
Okay.
Mickey, what were you going to say?
It's pretty much what Deb was saying too. It's like the mindset. So like I didn't really say out loud that I wanted to build a team until last month in December, which was kind of like I could really do it, but like during the holidays, I was like, I don't know. So that was me like just kind of getting comfortable with the process and such. And then the second part is with the mindset is, the financial side of it. So I asked I would say I asked at least a good 8 people in December, and it didn't work out. And my mindset in December was I needed people on my team because I need the money to take off the financial burden. Like I didn't have a good angle, if you will.
Okay.
Now in January, some financial stuff kind of cleared out. So I'm not pushing for the sale now. Now I'm actually trying to genuinely get people to join the business, and like my mindset shifted because I don't have that on my shoulder anymore. So I think that's what's helped me for this month, but it's only been like 11 days, but I stick with the, reach out to 5 people to talk about the business plan. Like I'm still doing my weekly task. And one girl, I talked to her about a regimen, and she said, oh, I love it, I want to do it. And then we got to the money part, and she was kind of like, well, that's out of my budget. And I just threw it out there. I was like, hey, the business. And she was like, yeah, I'll take a look at it. And I was like, oh, right, like, okay, sure. And then actually just 2 hours ago, Trace and I did a 3-way call, and when she left the call, it kind of felt like an 85% kind of thing. She said she wants to take a week to marinate on it, and she's definitely capable of doing it, but it felt like my mindset had changed this month versus last month. But
Yep, Natasha just put it there. It's very interesting, and we'll talk about this as well. All of this is super common. When we're stressed out and it's us, that can actually work one of 2 ways. It can paralyze us and suffocate other people because they can smell it coming. It's not about them at all, right? Or it can really fuel us. And we'll talk about that down the line. So one of the things I want you guys to understand, we all have to understand with building a team, is that it's we're thinking long term here, okay? And so if you've ever heard me talk about goals and things like that, we are looking 5 years down the line. What is it that you want to build? You want thousands of people. What do you want, right? And so you need to understand that, one, it starts with one person. It's all about one person, and one person, right? And you are going to get ignored a lot. You are not a priority to anybody else, nor is this business until it becomes a priority to them, which is, what you find whenever you're talking to people. You cannot get your feelings hurt, because really, when you step out of it and look at it objectively, do we really think that we're a priority to other people? No, they are just as self-absorbed as we are. They are thinking about themselves all day long, just like we are, right? Except for ourselves happens to involve building our business, which involves other people. And so we cannot be like, oh, they ignored me, or, oh, they aren't interested, or, oh, they whatever. Jackie always said, next, 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 next. And not as a bad thing, as in we don't care about other people, just focus on our job. Next, 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 next. We're just looking for the people. And I will always love the 4-leaf clover analogy. Whenever you just imagine a whole field of them, if you're looking for one and somebody told you they'd give you $10,000 if you found one, wouldn't you go pretty quick? Wouldn't you pick it up and look at it and move through them pretty quick? And it doesn't devalue how we care about humans. That's a totally different conversation. It's totally thinking about, what is your job? How do you build your business? How do you impact the most people the quickest? And that's going through the people and asking the question. And then whenever you run out of people, you got to ask for referrals. You got to ask, well, who do you know? And be very comfortable letting people know. One thing I wrote at the top of my page, and I need to share it. If somebody will remind me, I would like to share this podcast again. Shelby Rose did a podcast on the guide culture about professionalism and taking your job really seriously. If you don't have a sense of professionalism around your job right now, please get one, because it's not a side gig and a side hustle and this little skincare business that I do and all of this stuff. This is a business. And in fact, it's a big business. We, as just our little old team, sold just shy of $1 million in products for Rodan and Fields last year. Okay. It started with me.
Amazing.
I didn't know what I was doing. It started, but then you think about, what did I do individually? Nowhere near to that. It's not me, it's us. And it's really, if you've never read The Compound Effect, that's a whole different thing. Go read that. And that's really what we're thinking about whenever we think team building, okay? So I want you to get an idea. It's long-term. It's one person at a time. And when we really think about what is our job, what did we sign up to do, okay? We signed up to move product. We get paid to move product for Rodan and Fields. We have joined the call, answered the call to spread the products all around the world for that company, right? Your reasons are yours. All of that's very personal, and all of that's a totally different thing too. But when we're thinking about just the black and white of it, that's what we did. I don't think any of us want to work as hard as it would take to sell $1 million in products for Rodan and Fields. So I would suggest that you ask for help from other people, right? Because you plus a whole bunch of other people are going to be able to sell a lot more products for the company. Make sense? I love to look at it like that, because it's, we get wrapped up in the feelings all the time. This is a human business. It is a feelings business. This is sales. If you've never seen any of the memes, it's and that's it. And we can get really caught up in that, and we have to stop that. We have to be able to acknowledge when we're on the roller coaster. We all do it, and then just get right off, do whatever it is we need to do to shake the cobwebs out and look at it objectively again, and then go back in and do our job. So the number one thing that I would recommend you guys doing whenever it comes to team building, and we do this every Sunday on our planning call, if you've been there live or you rewatch it, is planning your reach outs, okay? And for lack of a better term, I'm going to keep using the word reach out. some people hate it. Some people, whatever the opinion is on the word reach out, I don't know anything better to call it. And so we're going to keep calling it reach outs until we can figure out something better. But all you're really doing is starting a conversation with somebody. That's it. You've got to start a conversation with somebody before you can talk to them. And that's your either initial reach out or follow up after however many months or however that is. But you need to plan who you're going to talk to. And that's also going to take a little bit of mindset there. One, don't prejudge other people. Okay. It's not your job to think about whether or not Susie needs this or wants this or anything. You're wasting mental space if you're thinking about any of that. It's only your job to just go ask, okay? We'll talk about language too. It is not about you. We have to take all of the you, I language out of it. We need to think about our job as educating people on what we have. Do they even know what we have? Do they know what we do? Might they be interested in it in any way for them? We have to be service-centered and really thinking about that, what's in it for them. I'm just as guilty as everyone else. Did you guys notice how many times we said get people on our team? And I know most of you personally well enough to know what you mean by that. But even just the language that we use with that, getting people on our team, we have to change that mindset to how can we use this business to serve other people? How can we help other people with what we have? And so that really beginning to think about building your list in that way, your list really is your lifeblood. And so if that is not something that you have or not something that you do, I really encourage you guys to start your weeks, start your months planning who it is you're going to connect with, being way more purposeful with it. It allows you to be purposeful on social media as you're interacting with those people and genuinely building relationships. Right now in book club, we are reading a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. We're doing the digital age portion of it, or the digital age copy of it. And we were just talking about why are people listening to you? Are you being a good influence in people's lives? Are you someone that people look at to take advice from? Or would they want to buy skincare from you? Or would they want to look at anything that you were doing, financially? And so you really need to ask yourself good questions about that. Who are you and why are people attracted to you? Why are people following you? And things of that nature. And also convincing. I think something that happens a lot is when we get objections, we are so busy trying to get people on our team and trying to build our team, because it is important to us, that we go into convincing. And I really want to encourage you guys too, if you find yourself convincing anyone, back up. Just back up, because I've done that. And in fact, in my first year and 2 years in business, I did a lot of that because I didn't know any better, honestly. And I was just so wrapped up in what I was doing. I really thought that Rodan and Fields was best for everyone, and they just didn't know it yet. And I mean, granted, I still do a little bit, right? But I was very busy trying to convince them, no, your reasons are wrong and you need to do this because of that. And so I encourage you guys to take a good look at those people on your list and maybe people you're following up with, because we can tend to get in this wheel where we're just trying to convince the same people over and over and over again. It's a little different, and she's not here right now, but it's a little different if it's your best friend like Julie Mackey and you call her and you just convince her that she's going to do this thing with you. It's $1,000. You don't know what it is either, but we're going to do it together. And so if you need to convince your best friend to do it with you, I'm down for that. Okay. Totally different. But you guys know those situations that I'm talking about for sure. The real work is in finding the people for your team. And I mean, you guys know that I have a big faith, and I'll tell you what's so interesting, almost 6 years into business now, is that I have prayed for 6 years for the right people to come to this team, for this team to branch out and find the people that should be here and that need it and that I can help in these different ways. And when you are thinking about it that way, it will come. I just want to encourage you that it will come in that way. So plan who you're inviting, build your list, be super thoughtful about it, be purposeful in your interactions and things of that nature with them. Hold on just a second. So sorry. Okay. I thought maybe something was wrong with this. So when you're doing that, you make your list, hopefully on Sundays or at the beginning of the month or something like that. When you're starting a conversation with people, be honest. Just be so honest. I want to read off of something that's actually on the team page. It's in the files in the team page, and it's called the reach out recipe. I didn't make this. I got it from a sideline sister. And so being honest with them. And it comes in the form of language like, I started a business so I could create more income for our family, but not be away from my kids. I'm not sure it would be for you, but has anyone ever shared Dirty Name Fields with you? So just being honest. And that does have a little bit of an I statement in it. And I think that there's a time and a place for that. Like when you just started your business and it's the truth, right? And so when you are curious about language and things of that nature, what do you even say to them? The reach out recipe is really good. You can start with, I started a business, or I'm having an event, or my personal favorite these days, I'm sitting down to work today and I was curious, has anybody ever shared Dirty Name Fields with you? I don't know why I would say anything else. That's the truth. If in fact I genuinely have a compliment for this person, I will put it in there. What's in it for them? Putting that in there, something like that. Asking for a referral. You have a great network, and I would love to, I actually don't like this phrase, but a lot of people really like it. It's my own personal thing. I would love to pick your brain. I just say, you have a great network, and I would really curious if you have anybody that would like to look at what I have. And so I love language that's just honest. That's it. We were talking about fluff earlier on book club, and there's a time and place for fluff. And I believe that it's in building relationships, genuine relationships with people, right? But whenever it comes to writing them, just tell the truth. What are you doing? What are you there for? Don't hop in people's inboxes and just be fake all over the place. They can smell it. They don't like it. Just think about what you would like. When you opened your inbox, if somebody was trying to sell you something or doing something in particular, I love to do events because you have something to invite them to. And it's so, hey, I'm having this event on Friday. I'd love it if you could come. Or if I don't have anything like that, it's, hey, I've got these samples. I was curious, has anybody ever shared Dirty Name Fields with you? I just love that very, very simple language. Do you guys have questions about language? Do you get stuck on what to say a lot?
I have a hard time with, and I think I mentioned this before, but like, the person that you haven't talked to in like 10 years,
Yep.
like how to start that.
And for me, it's honesty, because I'll share this with you guys right now. Hold on. There it is. I follow, if you're not following I'll show it to you actually so I don't confuse you. On Instagram, it's the No Shame Sales Game. Her name is Colleen Nichols, and she's in Dirty Name Fields. But you should be following this. She's amazing. She's a really lovely person, and she's talking about language here. Reach outs are so important. The way we talk to people is either going to turn them off or move them to engage in conversation. So if you haven't talked to somebody, if it sounds cringy when you say it out loud, don't type it. And I've said that forever. If you wouldn't say it to their face in the grocery store, don't do that. But when it comes to people that we haven't talked to in a while, well, what would you say? I would probably say, hey, I know we haven't talked in a while. I was sitting down to work and I saw you earlier on Facebook, or I saw you were active on Facebook, or I realized I hadn't asked you anything about it. When we have this attitude of professionalism, that we take our job very seriously, and and it's our job. We're really excited about what we do and all of that, right? When we do that, then it makes it better. It makes it natural to be in somebody's inbox when you haven't talked to them in a while, and being honest with them again. Mickey, does that make sense? I'm really a broken record on talking to people that way, because I believe whenever you're telling the truth, you can't go wrong, right? And I wanted to show you guys, here it is. This she had shared why you're not building a team, because we make it all about us. And it's not all about us. So I wanted to encourage you guys to go here and follow this account, because I've never seen her, I've never seen her put anything up that I wasn't like, amen, hallelujah, that's the truth. And so I really liked this one in this part of talking to people and reach out language and what do we even say. I've been just as guilty as everybody else on this, but I loved it. If you're open to it, I'd love to share how my business has changed my life. Now, I love, if you're open to it, I'd love to share more about this business, or if you're open to it, I'd love to share this with you so that you could see how it might fit for you. The same with, would you be open to learning more about how I fit this business into my life? They don't care about us. And I think that that's a common mistake that we make, that can hold us back from doing it, because people aren't able to see themselves doing what we do because we're so busy talking about us. Make sense?
Makes
Oh, I
sense.
love that, Natasha. I just saw that. Yeah, I mean, I really love that. Okay.
I just learned that was Colleen Nichols.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I've been following her, and then I did not know that was her.
I'll tell you the truth. I'm not really good at this stuff all the time, but what's so funny is as soon as that came out, I asked myself, I said, I wonder if that's Colleen, because it's her exact same voice. I mean,
She surprises you when you listen to her. It's like she looks so sweet and innocent, and she's like, dang, she's just a little spitfire.
Yeah, she is, but she tells the truth. And here's the thing.
She does.
A breath of fresh air when she came into Rodan and Fields, because depending on who you're listening to and who you're looking up to, somebody could, your upline could give you a script and say this all the time, say this all, this is what you say, exactly this. Guys, I can't tell you what to say. I mean, I gave you a 15-page document on random language I've picked up and tried and used and somebody else used on, these are all the examples of the way that you can talk to people. But I can't tell you what to say because I don't have your voice. What I can tell you is be professional, take your job seriously, and talk to everybody that you know. And be honest. That's it. Because if you're not, you'll lose people. If you're not honest, people will see right through you. They'll know that you're buttering them up to sell them something or to try to build your team, and they're not interested in that. And honestly, you can lose people really fast that way. People have said you can't say the wrong thing to the right person, and that's true to some extent, but you sure can turn people off. And I think that that's a question that you have to ask yourself. Are you modeling something that nobody would ever want to do anyway? And so that's why people aren't interested in your business. Are you not being clear on what it is that you do? Are you not asking the question? Are you wasting a lot of people's time in that way? Does that make sense to you guys? Okay, so planning who you're inviting, really thinking about who you want to build your team with. One thing I didn't mention there that I've done for years and I'm doing again this year is the circle method. So taking a piece of paper, or I have a whiteboard, and putting circles. So whatever your goal is, if your goal is level 2, whatever your goal is, you need to put humans in those circles to build your team. And so I love the idea of, actually writing my list out every single Sunday. And then I have some people that I really like, my dream teamers that I really want to work with. Their names are up there in circles, right? And that is about me. But I'll tell you what, and it goes with this language over here that's actually in the reach out recipe that is on the team page in the files. It's the compliment. Girl, I love the empowering messages you share on social media. You would be great at what I do. I'm not sure if it would be for you, but has anyone ever shared Rodan and Fields with you? So there are some people that I want you to want them on your team. Like, build your dream team. You know the people, you see them and you're like, oh, you'd be so good at this, right? There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying don't do that. You should absolutely be excited about doing that, right? I'm not going to convince them and twist their arm and all those things, right? But telling people that and having those dream teamers that we put in the circles, and we're just really, really purposeful about. Okay, so planning who we're inviting, starting a conversation, reaching out to them, talking to them, being honest. It's just so important. So what happens whenever somebody says, yes, they are interested? Mickey, you have just had this happen to you. I would love for you to share how that went. When they said, when that girl said that she was interested in learning a little bit about it, what did you do? Oh, is it frozen? Mickey?
And yes, she is.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Well, when it gets unfrozen, then maybe she can share. But what do you do whenever somebody says yes, you know, and or no, nobody's ever shared it with me. Yes, I am interested in learning a little bit about it, right? Then whatever you do, stop talking. If in fact you're talking about you at that point, stop talking about you. Really switch and start asking them questions, okay? And whenever somebody says that they would like to learn more, then it's just a very simple, great, cool. The easiest way to do that is with a quick phone call, okay? And remember that you're modeling for them what it's like to work this business. So if somebody is interested in learning a little bit more, for whatever reason they are, then they are watching you and they are wondering, can I do what you do, right? And so again, being professional, letting them know the easiest way to do that is just a really quick conversation. When do you have a 10-minute block? I've got time at this time and this time. Okay, letting them know that this is a business and you do fit it in when you can, but you know, these are the things. It's very okay to ask them, you know, when do you have 10 minutes later today or tomorrow that we could chat about this really quick? Just asking them. And then whenever they let you know, after they let you know and you set the appointment, then I always send a blog article or a video or something like that. And I always just tell them, in the meantime, like, take a look at this and I'll see you tomorrow at 3 o'clock, right? Or whatever. Make sense? And then here's the hardest part. I swear it's the hardest part. Stop talking. Then you have their interest. They're pretty excited. They're starting to wonder, could I do this? Maybe I could do this. That kind of looks fun. And then they're starting, because this is the hugest thing. For the people that are looking at joining you and doing this business beside you, they have to imagine themselves doing it. I want you guys to go back and think about the days leading up to when you joined this business. What were you doing? I know my mind was just all over the place with, what would I be doing? How could I do this? What would this look like for me? Possibility all over the place, Googling everything under the world, you know, which is so funny now, because now I think back to some of the stuff I Googled and I was like, wow, I don't even know what that was, right? It's so crazy, this stuff so putting yourself in their position and really thinking about that, okay? And so, send them, make an appointment, send them a tool to look at, okay? And then often whenever you're sending them a tool or something like that, you can even ask them, you know, when would you have about 10 minutes to watch that? When would you have a few minutes to watch that and then tell me what you think about it, okay? Because one of the things, and I'm trying to find it, I'm sorry. One of the language systems that some of us use, yeah, Natasha, I remember you did. Oh, I remember you did. One of the language processes that some of us use as an old training from Lindsay Stafford, and I still have it printed out, I love it. It's if, I, will, you. And so whenever somebody says that they're interested, you know, in looking at it, then you can just say, hey, okay, great. Well, if I send you this article, you know, when would you have, you know, a couple minutes to read it and then hop on the phone? If I send you this, will you tell me what you think, right? Does that make sense to you guys? Yeah. And I love this. I love this language that's on here, and I think we've used it in a power hour before, but I have it highlighted. I think I've used it a ton, honestly. Katie, you're such a driven, successful, whatever person that you're reaching out to, this, whatever reason that you're truly reaching out to this person. I just love working with people like you. I think you'd be really successful at what I do. You have to keep this genuine and real, and really sound like you whenever you're doing it, okay? And then ask them a question. Have you ever thought about another stream of income? Have you ever considered doing what I do? Have you ever thought about a plan B? Whatever it is. You can even acknowledge, like, I know you're super busy, in any of those things, but asking them a question. and then if I send you this, will you look at it? I really love that process, like a bunch. Yes. I have no idea. I haven't seen her since I started. Okay, so questions so far? Does this look like what you guys do?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. So whenever you've made a call with them, before the call, like say the call's tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, around 6:30, always reach out to them and just touch base with them. Hey, is 7 o'clock still okay? Right? And so you're going to let them know that you're excited to talk to them and make sure that time's still okay. And then let them know that you only have about 10 or 15 minutes. And so you're going to have to keep it brief. Let them know that up front, because I'll tell you that there's nothing worse than getting on the phone with someone that's interested in the business and still being on the phone with them an hour later. It really is miserable. I'm not going to lie. And I've done it more times than I want to admit. And every time I did it, it's because I didn't set myself up right, and then other people tend to think that they have to be on the phone for like an hour or whatever. Right. But I always let them know, hey, cool, I'm gonna contact you through Messenger. A lot of you guys have asked me a ton, like, how do you talk to people on video all the time? I am constantly talking to people on video. I don't even consider that it won't be on video. And so I really encourage you guys to do that as well. You set the expectations there. You're most likely talking to them through Messenger anyway. If you're talking to them through text, then just let them know, you'll call them, and that's the normal way you talk to them, right? But for people that you're building relationships with through Facebook or Instagram and you're on Messenger, just let them know. Set the expectation. Hey, I'm going to keep it really easy, and I'm just going to call you here through Messenger. Nobody has ever had a problem with that. I have not once had any pushback against that. Some people will be like, oh, I'm super sweaty or I'm dirty. And I'm like, I literally don't care, and then you just hop on and it's great. And there's such a better connection that way. Okay. So when you're on the call with them, really ask questions and listen. It's not our job to talk. And I think that this is something that we do, especially towards the beginning of our business. And I actually think we talk more due to insecurities. We're, again, so worried about what should we say? What should we do? Are we giving them all the information? Are we whatever? There's nothing to do in that aspect. What you need to do on that call is ask them questions. Why are you interested in this? What can you see this looking like for you? What's got you intrigued in it? What do you know about? I love to ask that question. What do you already know about Rodian and Fields? I love to lead with that question, because then they get to tell me. And then I get to ask them questions like, how do you see this fitting in for you? What would you like to do with it? Questions like that. And then when we've been through a conversation, and again, this is something to where I can tell you what I just told you. I can't tell you exactly what to say. In fact, when I joined the business, we used to have scripts. And I remember Trisha and I doing three-way calls whenever she first joined. And my goodness, it is embarrassing to think about what we did. Embarrassing, because that's what we were taught then, is here's the script and this is what you do. You get on the call and you say this and you say this and you say this. I must have been talking for 10 minutes. I don't know how anybody joined us, right? So I guess you can't say the wrong thing to the right people, right? But the only thing that I do now is ask them questions to try to figure out why do they want to do it? What do they want to do with it? And then they are talking about what that looks like for them. And that conversation, that happens naturally, and it picks up and it grows momentum naturally. And then at some point in the conversation, you're either going to cut it off because you're going, after 10 minutes, you're just going in circles anyway. I mean, what are you talking about after 10 minutes, right? And so unless they just have a ton of questions, because some people will be like, I brought questions to the call. And I'm like, okay, I got 10 minutes, so let's go through these questions. And then towards the end, ask them, hey, it sounds like you're ready to give this a shot. Let's do it. Most likely, and really, truly, that's what I say. If you've ever been on a call with me, I will tell them, sounds like you want to do this. Why haven't you already done it? I love to ask that question. That's a great question too. Why haven't you already done this? Okay. Because when you ask them that question, why haven't you already done this? You're going to find they're only an actual objection. Okay. And that allows you to talk through that. Okay. And I love to get to the bottom of things. I don't like to waste time at all. And especially not on calls with prospects, because you're looking to build your team, correct? And so you want to get to the meat of it, right? And really find out how you can help them. And I will tell them that also. You know, by telling me these things, it's going to help me actually figure out whether or not this is right for you. Again, not convincing them about anything. You are on the phone with that person to figure out whether or not it's even right with you. And so once you ask them that, you can do the scale of 1 to 10 thing. You can ask them, hey, why haven't you done this already? And that you will get the actual reason. Occasionally, somebody will be like, you know what? Let's do it. Especially now that it's only $75. If I had people join me on, now it doesn't happen often. I'm not telling you that this happens like all the time. But if I had people join me on a first call like that at $1,000 and $700 and $400, now with $75, if they've already been thinking about it, you've had those 10 to 12 touches already, and you're on the call and you're at the point where it's like, all right, let's do this. Then there's nothing really holding them back. It's $75, right? And so you can go on through the sign up process. Congratulations. That's awesome, right? And if the answer is, no, like the reason I haven't done it is because of husband or finances or time, they've just really convinced themselves that they haven't done it. And it's really interesting because if you listen to prospective team members' objections, there are objections too. Nothing actually changes whenever you join the business. Those same reasons that you thought that you couldn't do it 10 minutes before you joined the business are the same reasons that hold you back now, 100%. And I really encourage you guys to dig into whatever that is, because I found that to be true over and over and over again. And often the reason that you're doing the business is the same reason that's holding you back as well. We love to use crutches like that, really, because it makes us feel better. Oh, I'm not doing it because of, the time one. The time one's the best one, right? I don't have enough time. Well, do you want to not have enough time forever? And so it really goes back and forth like that. And again, if it's no, and they really do need time to think about it and they're not ready, please don't convince them. That's so gross. Please don't push them to sign up right then, because it's timing. Some people need some encouragement, and I really hope you guys know the difference there whenever you're, in human relations there. Some people need some encouragement, some you can do it, right? And you know that that's what they need. And you also know when you're convincing someone to sign up whenever they, whenever it's not like that. So I really want to encourage you guys to not to push like that to the point of, well, they weren't even ready to sign up anyway. You guys know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Okay, so either they've signed up or they haven't, and then the real job comes in the follow-up. And we really know with the follow-up, again, it is being honest with them. It's telling them that you want to do a good job, that it's your job to follow up and see if anything's changed in the timing. I always tell people things change over time. I'm just following up with you to see if anything's changed since the last time that we talked. That language isn't very hard either. It's just honesty again. Hey, this is the reason I'm in your inbox. It's my job. I wanted to make sure that I didn't drop you or miss you or miss out on being able to help you if things have changed over time, because I know things change over time, right? And so let them know. I tell people all the time, listen, girl, I'm not trying to be annoying. I'm just here following up with you because I care about you. I know you were interested in it before. And also setting expectations is really important there too, because I always tell people, I'm going to follow up with you when things change in the business. Is it okay if I write you whenever we have something new? And they'll almost always say, yeah, sure, totally. And so here I am in your inbox or texting you and saying, hey, I promised to follow up with you and tell you when things changed. And I just wanted to tell you we got this new program, or there's a freebie with enrollment this month, or anything like that. And so when you set expectations on the front end, it's so much more natural. And I really believe that building your team and recruiting and things like that, it becomes so much more natural whenever you've done things like that and you are treating it like a business and you are really respectful of yourself and other people's time and things like that. What you do is important. I remember whenever I hired Sarah, my business coach, at the beginning of the year last year, and she was asking me, do you think what you do is important? That was one of the first questions that she asked me. And I was like, trick question? What do you mean? Do I think what I do is important? And I really had to think about it. And I encourage you guys to consider the same thing. Do you think what you do in Rodian & Fields is important? Because it is. It's very important. The impact that you can have in people's lives, the impact that you have in your own life. Yes, it's selling skincare. Yes, it's important. If we take it back to the very beginning, you signed up to sell skincare all around the world for Rodan and Fields. That's a very important job, right? And so show up for yourselves in that way. It's your job to tell them what's next every step, whether it's a follow-up appointment or whether it's that they have interest. Okay, well, the next step is we'll hop on the phone for about 10 minutes. I don't have very much time. So if you've got questions, bring them. Why don't you take a look at this article between now and the time that we talk. And then whenever you get on their phone, you're able to ask them what stood out to you about that article or that video, whenever you sent them. Make sense? And there's a natural progression in that conversation there. And I'll tell you the truth, like I was not good at this. If you have been around for a little while, I stutter constantly. I'll lose my words. Like there are things that I still aren't quote unquote great at. But when you're showing up naturally, you're going to work through the fear. You're going to enjoy being able to help people. When you take the focus off yourself and you're thinking about the other person, then you're just showing up for that person. And that takes so much of the fear and so much of that stuff away. I want to, when it comes to the process, like that's it. That like step by step, that's it. That's what we do whenever it comes to the process. If you're looking at it in black and white, that's it. But the real work, in my opinion, is the in-between stuff, the touches, the follow-ups, the engagement with people, the relationships that you have, your enthusiasm, your belief. And for those of you guys that follow Bob Heilig, like some of us do, if you don't believe, and I don't mean just like, oh yeah, I believe in what we do. I believe in myself. I hear people say that all the time. And I'll ask them, like, it's belief. You don't believe. Like, I can tell because one, their team isn't growing, and two, I can hear it in their voice. I can see it. And you guys know the difference. We'll take just social media because this is where we all, show up. Can't you tell the difference between somebody who enthusiastically believes in what they're doing and somebody who's just showing up on social media? Can't you pinpoint the people that you would join and the people that you would not? I can. I can. And there was a guy who used to be around, and he would always say people don't come to things that suck, and people don't join people whose energy sucks. And it's true. It's a crass way to say it, but it's true. And so I know please know I'm not saying you have to be like on at a 10 all the time, and that's like what you need to be. The biggest thing I encourage you to do is be yourself, okay? And if yourself isn't enthusiastically believing in what you do, and believing that what you do is important, and believing that you have something to share with other people, because our products are amazing. This business changed my life. And I tell people all the time, if you don't believe yet, take mine. Just borrow my belief for just a second. You do. You always get what you expect. You will get what you are looking for. Absolutely every single time. And if you need a little help building that muscle, building those habits, do things like I've been doing recently. Set a timer. Go onto social media very specifically. Don't get in a scroll hole. Set a timer. Go on there and watch people's stories and start interacting with people through their stories. Start talking to people. Start looking at their picture of their dog and letting it make you smile. So then you tell them, that's a cute dog, right? That's natural. It's real. You mean it. You're in relationship building, which you don't want to get stuck there, but it's important. Like you're in that with people and you have a relationship with them. And then whenever they think about, because maybe they're not even paying attention to your post. Like your posts are just your wall anyway. It's just your storefront being open. But whenever you get into building a relationship with somebody, when you post on social media, all of a sudden, they're actually reading what you wrote. Why? Because they care about you. Why? Because you cared about them. The Bible says to have a friend, you need to be a friend. And we talk about that in this house all the time. Friends, friends, friends. When you got 5 kids and 4 of them are girls, you're talking about friends, okay? And who likes who and who doesn't and all this stuff. And I tell them constantly, to have a friend, you need to be a friend, okay? And you really have to do that when it comes to building your team as well. I think that's a really good question to ask yourself often is how are you showing up, for other people, and why would people want to join you? And I do not want you to hear me wrong, that you're not valuable and you're not great just as you are and all of those things. Please don't hear me wrong in that way. That would never be what I meant. But Who are you, or why are you somebody that somebody would want to join in business? That's very specific. Okay. And I think that if you're honest with yourself, if you'll be brave enough to be honest with yourself, you'll be able to find those things, which really leads me into what Bob talks about all the time. And it is those stories. Belief is just the story that you're telling yourself. That is it. So those steps that we just talked about in the recruiting process, that's a process. It doesn't really change for me. Natasha and I were talking about something the other day, and we both heard somebody talk about, we both have heard somebody talk about the simplicity of what we do. Have you ever pulled up your website, or if you're talking to somebody on the phone, just go to your website or have them like send your website to them and just say, hey, look at that. Like I sell these products for these doctors. They're bought off of this website and I make a commission off of it. And I find other people to help do that with me because we can sell a lot more product together. Doesn't that make a ton of sense? It's just a process that we follow. None of us, it's not a secret either. Like that same process has been taught through Rodan and Fields and other places forever and ever and ever and ever because it works. Everybody needs a checklist to go through. But none of it matters if the story you're telling yourself is all jacked up. And Deb was talking about that, whatever she's working through with herself. Most people quit before they even follow up with somebody the fourth time. And we all know that it could be 10 to 12, right? Some people it's 1, some people it's 3, some people it's 7, some people it's 15. Most people, the average person, quits before the fourth time. Do not let that be you. Have a serious mindset about your business and have a belief about yourself that you're in this for the long term and this is just what you do. It's just who you are. If you are stuck in separating Rodan and Fields from yourself, Rodan and Fields is just part of who I am. And I encourage you guys to also take that mindset. It's just part of who you are. It's what you do. But none of it matters if that story that you're telling yourself about why people don't want to do it or, anything that's stopping you. And of course, Bob calls it a red light story. And I love that analogy because you stop at a red light. And those of us that have read Matthew McConaughey's book, Green Lights, now, if you haven't, you should read that book, right? It's a whole different thing, but also the same thing. Are you creating red lights for yourself or are you creating green lights? Because the job, the JOB, is exactly what I just laid out for you. That's the process. That's how we do it. You've got the how. Anybody can have the how. But it's the story that you're telling yourself. It's your belief whenever you do it. And so I really encourage you guys to ask yourself, when you've made the list for the week and you're sitting down and you're getting ready to start your conversations and do your follow-ups with people, pay attention to what comes into your head. What's that story that just came into your head that's making you 5-second pause and not write that person? Or taking your breath away because you're scared, you have anxiety all of a sudden about what you're doing. What is that story? What is that belief that just came into your head that made you stop? That's what you have to work on. Because the process is simple. The way that we do it, like I said, it never changes. It's real. I mean, if you're changing it, I don't know why. It's really easy to just move through that process with people. But the reason that you're not moving through that process with people has everything to do with whatever that 5-second pause is, whatever that thing that is holding you back. And I can't tell you that for you. You have to figure out whatever that is. And it's really hard sometimes. Really hard. And it changes sometimes. You'll get through one and then you'll realize something else is holding you back. And maybe it's little and maybe it's big and maybe it's a deep limiting belief that you've had for years and you didn't even know it. Or maybe it's one that you know good and well that you have, but it's really comfortable to keep. And that's something that I see in team members a ton. They're very comfortable with their red light story because it makes them feel better. I don't do this because this, right? And they're happy with it. And that's something that you have to be able to admit to. Are you really comfy in your red light story? Does it make you feel better about your non-growth? Oh, that stinks, because you'll never get anywhere. You have to get honest about that, really honest about that. So I want to encourage you guys to dig down into whatever it is, because I promise you it's not the process. The process is simple. It's not very confusing at all. It's just 4 or 5 steps to take them through it. And then however many follow-ups it takes, because maybe they're the right person and maybe they're the wrong person. I don't know. And I've had some people join me in business 4 years later. And for 4 years, it wasn't their time. And I know one girl in particular, it was not her time for 4 years. And then all of a sudden it was her time. And I was there with the follow-up because that's my job, right? And that's the process. Do you guys have questions or thoughts? Do any of you know what it is? You know what it is that holds you back?
I think when we talked, I don't know, the other day about the events, and my biggest anxiety right now is just being nervous on social media or to do a live event.
Yeah.
And I think you like hit the nail on the head when we discussed about, you know, just be yourself and let everyone know. If you're nervous, you're nervous, and let them know that that's me and it's authentic. And talking about Bob, he did mention that in the course today about, you know, just to let people know where you are, because it is who you are and people see that and they see your vulnerabilities, and that's what people like to see. So I'm excited. We'll see how that plays out, but I really do appreciate your meetings and everything, because it definitely helps.
Okay. Mickey, I just realized you brought something up earlier, and I said that we cover it, and I'm trying to remember whether or not I covered what all of you asked. Like we were talking about, the pressure, the financial pressure. That was what I was gonna, so you experience the negative of the financial pressure, right? So some people are able to use those things to build, right? My first year in business, I had to. Like, I came in desperate as anything. I mean, our bills were paid because I had my full-time job, but I wanted out of that full-time job like yesterday, every single day. And I was driven like crazy. In my first year in business, it was about me. And you guys will understand that there's a balance there too. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be doing it for the reasons that you're doing it. You should. And that should make you hungry as hell, honestly. Like, that's another thing that'll hold people back. I look at some people and they're like, well, I can't build a team, or I've done this, or I've whatever. I'm like, girl, you're not hungry at all. No, like, I can't even actually tell that you want this. You have got to want it like that, because people feed on that too. And they want to be around people that do that. Success is attracted to success in that way. But I think that whenever we put stressors on ourselves, we can use that to either drive us up or drive us down in that way. And honestly, I don't really know how much control. I mean, we have control over lots of things, but the way that emotionally or psychologically affects us, that takes some work. That takes some work, to try to control that way. Deb, did I answer your questions?
Yes, ma'am, you sure did. Appreciate it.
Other Deb?
I think mine is just going to be more about just sort of self-reflection and thinking about what I can do different.
Yeah. One of the things, no, go ahead.
No, I don't think that anyone can give you a simple answer. I think you got to figure it out.
It's tough. It's really hard to do that. But I will tell you guys, I encourage personal growth and professional development all the time. But I was talking about this Sunday, buying courses and doing things and whatever. There's a couple of things that I've really gotten something out of, and I would absolutely encourage. And Bob's course is one of them. I would really encourage that course, because you will dig in. And unless you're just avoiding the work altogether, you will find out what's been holding you back, and it's not always easy to swallow. I think something that's interesting, because Deb, I know you're a deep thinker and you're analytical, and I remember all of the, all of the numbers and black and white questions that you had going in.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I see often in personalities like yours and brains that work like yours is that everybody else doesn't care about that kind of stuff. I still to this day have never read the policies and procedures, nor do I plan on it. I truly don't. All right. And so you have to, where I have to be aware of people who think differently than me and make sure that I'm at least I'm at least able to answer their questions and find things like that. You have to be sure to not give people any more information than they ask for. And that's another thing. Don't answer questions people didn't ask. And I think whenever we get on calls with people that are interested, we're very concerned, depending on your personality, very concerned with making sure you give them the right information, or you covered everything, or, you know, it's your presentation to give to them, to pitch them the business, to do this, right? And it's not. It's truly about asking the right questions and helping them. The purpose of that call is to help them navigate whether or not this would be best for them to do. And I think that when you focus solely on that question, your recruiting rate is going to get much higher. And again, please know what I mean here, the value of the person that you're bringing in is also going to be more solid. And I said that I would talk about the customer versus teaming thing. Please, I encourage all of you guys, please do not build your team with people who deserve to be customers. Stop giving away the consultant discount to people who are not building a business. My sister joined me in business, well, I think 3 years after I started. Do you know what price my sister paid for the entire 3 years she didn't join me in business? It was the customer price. It wasn't a consultant price. I never gave her that option because she was a customer. And I say that to say, no matter who they are in your life or where they are, this is a business. And so if you are building your team with people that should be customers, one, you're cutting your commission in half. That stinks, right? And two, consciously or unconsciously, you are discouraged because you are working, you look at your team, you open your pulse, and you are flooded in with the information of, oh, my team's not doing anything. Well, no, your team's not doing anything. They're customers, you know, and they never said they were going to do anything. And so where in the very beginning, when we first get on the phone with people, where we're helping them navigate whether it's the right time for them, it's the exact same way after they join the business. My directs, I'm helping them navigate the exact same stuff that I was whenever they joined. We've just been doing it longer. Right, Becca? We've just been doing it longer. Trying to figure out what's right for them when. And then encouraging them to do it, pushing them through the hard things, telling them things sometimes they don't want to hear. And we do that often with our prospects too. I hope that you'll be brave and tell your prospects things that it might be hard to say, like, this takes hard work. Please don't tell people that it's super easy and money falls in your lap, because that's not true. The product sells itself. No, it doesn't. I mean, the product resells itself because people like it and it works, and so they rebuy it and that. But you actually have to work. And it's so much easier and it's more cozy to tell people that it's easy and it's fun and it's all this stuff. And then they get in and they're hit with, oh my gosh, this takes work. Oh, I didn't sign up for that. I don't want to do that. Well, no wonder your team's not doing anything if that's what we say, because they got in and their expectations were wrong. I'm reading the chat now. Yeah.
So when they first sign up, are they wanting to work the business? When you first sign them up?
Are you talking to me?
I'm just curious. Yeah.
No, they don't want to. No.
Okay.
They just want it for the discount. That's all they're doing.
Oh, because there's no benefit. There's no benefit at all to you to have them do that.
Not immediately, but I've listened to several training videos that talk about all these people that started out as just they became consultants, didn't do anything with it. A year later, their life changed, and all of a sudden they skyrocket to the top. I listened to one gal that talked about how she treats every person that signs on, whether they're a quote face washer or a somebody that knows right from the beginning, treats them all the same and has success in being able to coach them up. So, all I'm saying is that I'm kind of hearing two different things.
From what I've been hearing lately is that they say, the ones that I hear them say the face washers. I'm always kind of under the assumption that they initially signed up like they were going to work the business, but then didn't. And then those people, you just kind of treat them you definitely don't want to discourage them. You want to meet them where they're at.
I would go so far as an observer of people that have done it both ways. And Deb, I've heard tons of trainings like that too. I've always been a business builder, and I want to work with people that want to work. I want to work with people that are exciting and fun and are here to build a business. And so I've never wanted face washers. In fact, I probably land on the extreme side that I can't stand the term face washer. Like my face washer.
I don't like that term.
I know, like my face washers, they're my customers, right?
Yeah, that sounds
and then what I think happens too is they don't get treated. They don't, when they, I don't know if you guys are like this, but if you sign a face washer, just because I don't know what else to call it, if you sign them up as a consultant, they don't get the same customer care that I give a preferred customer. So they kind of get left in the,
absolutely,
they kind of get left. And I hate that because I'm not focused on that list. I'm focused more, if they aren't involved at all, I'm not focused on taking care of them like a customer, like I do my preferred customers.
I would even go so far as to say that I think across, like, when I look at face washers and people that have come in for just like that and people that have built teams like that, we have to ask ourselves that question again. Is it more comfortable for us to bring in people like that? Is that less scary? And so is that why we keep doing it? That we've heard somewhere that sometimes those people catch on, and that's true. Definitely sometimes. I think she had been in the business for a year or something before she decided she wanted to work it for money, and she's done great, right? But that is so far, and that's so few and far between. It really is. And I think that it's probably easier to do that than to be brave and really go looking for people that want to work the business and face rejection over and over. And somebody had mentioned rejection. Rejection's tough. It's just part of it. It's just like everybody doesn't like coffee. Everybody doesn't like everything. You don't like everything. You don't like everybody, right? And so there's going to be a lot of people that don't want to do what we do. Maybe they even think it's dumb. Maybe they even think we're dumb. Okay, great. They're not our people. Yeah.
One of the things that I talked about with Char Knox on my call with her this week is talking to the people who are face washers on your team at the beginning of every year. If they're not working, don't waste your time on them. But at the beginning of every year, she gave me this straight verbiage. She said, Sally, I'm reevaluating my business and I have a set organizational volume that I want to build for 2021. So I'm just surveying the people on my team so if there's a desire of yours to be retrained on some new practices, would you rather be involved with that and learn a little bit more, or just share as you please? I'm fine either way. I just want to know how I can best serve you. So make them decide every single year, are you going to do the business that you have, or are you just going to wash your face?
I love that. Natasha, can you send that to me? That is excellent. And I don't even think I would do it once a year. I think I'll do it once every 6 months, just to check in with them. And, because I will just tell you, there's 3 of the people that I've been talking to about the business since I started a year and a half. And they'll be great at it if they ever just get past their own, what they've got going on. So if they have to start now and just use the product and getting it at the consultant price, if it enables them to get the product and keep getting the product so that they see the benefits and start getting people asking them about what they're using, then, I'm okay with that. The thing I struggle with is, how do I treat them? How much time do I put into them? You know what I mean? Because I don't want to, because to your point, Kayla, it's easy to forget them because I'm focused on my preferred customers.
Yes, it is. That's what I found too.
Yeah.
Are they really getting it any cheaper by the time they pay shipping?
Yes, they are. Yes.
A lot? Is it much?
Yeah, it's about 20%. Yeah, it's still a big discount because it's 30% discount or 25, and you pay $10 in shipping. You know, it's
Yeah, if
yeah,
the
it
order
is.
is decent
Yeah,
size.
yeah. So
On something like Lash Boost, though, it's a $5 difference.
right, but most of my people don't do that. I have very few people that buy just Lash Boost. Almost everybody's on a regimen. And so, and if they're on AMP MD and all the other stuff, enhancements, it is a lot cheaper for them.
I think that a really good thing for you to do is probably to go through your list, and not just to go through the list of people that you have that are current face washers, but also to go through your list of prospects, like the people that you're talking to, and asking them that question. What is really holding you back from doing this? Why aren't you doing this? I don't think there's anything wrong. And in fact, highly encourage you all to ask people that you're serious about, that have had many conversations with you. Why aren't you doing this? I don't understand. And just saying that.
And I think Trisha told me that the first thing Sarah Reinecke had her do was to get rid of all of her face washes.
Yes, she did. We all had that conversation because Trisha's
How does she do that?
huge.
What does she do? Just say, I'm not what?
You converted them, the ones that were willing, to customers.
Yes, that the best place for you is actually as a customer. And I've done it. I've said it's going to be way easier for me to take care of you as a customer. I'm going to do a better job.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually where your place is. Are you interested in working the business this year, or are you more of a customer? And they'll say that. They'll tell you what they want to do. Yep. But I think, people that are on your list, those fence sitters as well, in that process, if they're not ready yet, if they're no, not right now, the next thing that after that initial conversation, your next step is to bring them to a 3-way call with somebody. And we didn't talk about that, big on here. We can talk about 3-way calls another time, but that's such a natural thing to do. If they're not ready and you're talking to them about what's holding them back, then you can say, what would get you there, right? Or what would really push you over the edge? And, they're just not ready. Hey, I really think you should talk to my friend Becca. I think you'd like her. I'm going to connect us in a message. And so, Deb, if you haven't done 3-way calls with those people that, that you're talking about, tell them, really, I'm not totally sure why you're not doing this yet. I think you'd be perfect at it. You should totally talk to whoever and you guys know I'm always open for 3-way calls. You should really talk to so-and-so. And then the verbiage is affirmative. I'm going to connect us in a message. You're really going to like her. There's no, can I connect you, or don't make it weird. It's just, I really think you'd like this person. I'm going to connect us. And then that person takes it from there. All right, guys, you got anything else? I am really encouraged for team building in 2021. Not only encouraged for myself, but I see it in a lot of you and a lot of people that aren't here. You guys are ready. You're more than ready. Just the way that you are to build your teams. You're ready. Figure out what in the world it is that's stopping you from building something big, and go build it. Because it really just is whatever story that's in your head, whatever belief this is that you have, you've got to knock it down, or else we'll be sitting right here next year talking about the same thing. And I'll give you a visual that you will not like. You close your eyes for just a little second, because it'll be a nightmare, and imagine yourself this time next year with the exact same team that you have right now. Ugh, sounds awful. I love you guys. I love you madly, but I want some new people too. The idea of just the exact same organization that I have right now next year, what went wrong? What didn't I do? What didn't I push through? How didn't I grow? How did you allow yourself to hold yourself down so much that in an entire year you didn't grow at all? That breaks my heart. Don't do that to yourselves. There is so much out there. There are billions of people. And somewhere in those billions of people, that's your team. They're out there. But you have got to do the work, both the inside work and the outside work, to build that team. They are not just going to come to you.